All right, guys, good morning. Today is the big day. I am parked outside of Precision Health in Coconut Creek, Florida for my very first Dexa scan. So I didn't get here in the best time, so I got to head in because I want to get in there early and talk to the person in charge and get set up. But yeah, I'm a little nervous actually because I know that it's unreasonable to think that I am at an exceptionally low body fat at this stage of the game. I'm still 19 weeks out. So I got a lot of time. I asked my wife what her guess was, and she guessed 11% body fat. And I would imagine I'm probably closer to 12. So I think I'm between 11 and 12. I'm not going in with a tremendous amount of confidence because I had some carb refeeds the past couple days, so I'm a little heavier on the scale and feeling a little fluffy. I'm holding a little water under my skin, between my skin and my muscles, so I don't look as lean as I looked and felt like a week ago. But that shouldn't really affect the scan, but it affects my confidence level. But anyway, long story short, if I am under 11%, I would be shocked. And if I am much over 12%, especially if I'm like 14 or 15%, I'm not going to lie, I would be incredibly disappointed. So I'm hoping I'm in that 12% range. I think that's probably pretty realistic. So we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna try and get some video inside if they're open to that, and otherwise I will be back shortly with the results and talk about the progress I made this past week, or lack thereof, and how I'm going to proceed going forward. Wish me luck. Talk to you soon.
Alrighty, so you're just gonna lay with your head here. My arm's just here so you don't whack your head.
Okay.
Right. So like I mentioned, I'm gonna put your feet on the outside of this. It's just gonna rotate your hips at like a 22-degree angle, okay?
Okay. Some kind of weird torture device.
I know, right? We get to meet you in 5 minutes. We're gonna strap you down.
Seriously.
Alright, so the first part is gonna be a scan of your spine. So now we're going to try to tuck your arms in tight. I'm going to have you slide a half an inch that way. Yeah. Perfect. Beautiful.
So from what I understand, a Dexa scan is kind of like the gold standard, aside from getting like a full body MRI, which
Right.
is just kind of cost prohibitive. Nobody does that.
Right.
But there's still a margin of error, I would assume. Do you know what that margin of error might be? Like percentage-wise, as far as like body fat percentage, let's say. Because that was my overall concern.
It's very, very small. The biggest margin of error will come with the visceral fat in very overweight people. When they come in and their belly is here, this is where we'll see a little bit of margin of error. I don't see a whole lot of margin of error here. Because we can repeat it a couple times and it'll be pretty much exactly the same. Sometimes this one will be a little,
right,
and that's not with fit people.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it just has a hard time reading through.
Gotcha. So kind of like the fitter you are, maybe the more accurate the test is.
Yeah, because it's not.
All right, guys. So today was the day, my first Dexa scan, and I'll get into it, but. So I went to a place called Precision Health in Coconut Creek, Florida, probably less than a half hour from my house. I met about 4 people in the office. Great experience, super nice, super welcoming, very engaging, made me feel very comfortable. As far as a one visit experience goes, I would recommend them highly. So got there, checked in, was kind of quickly brought into the room where the Dexa scan happens. I was weighed. They measured my height, and basically got right into it. Laid on the table. They kind of strapped me in a certain way. The whole scan itself didn't take, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, maybe at most. I wasn't really counting. And then basically for as long as it took for me to gather my things and walk into the next room and sit down with the person who scanned me, they had my little bound results here ready for me. And then we went over the results. I actually filmed everything. So probably right before you're watching this, I probably just included a clip of me laying on the bed. But I'll spare you all the details of including that other video because it's just her going over the results with me and us kind of like making small talk. So not all that exciting, and neither of us were mic'd up. So I haven't even watched it. I don't even know how the audio is. However, I have my results here. Without giving numbers right away, I am ecstatic. So just briefly, I'll tell you that my plan going into this was to essentially continue to follow my diet, my calorie deficit until Sunday, and then Sunday begin refeeding myself. So basically just increase my carbs and increase my overall calories back up to maintenance so I could go into today's Dexa scan a little bit fuller, like a little bit more carved up, holding a little bit more water, figuring that that would help increase my body weight, increase my muscle mass, and therefore my fat would be a lesser percentage of my overall mass and my overall body weight. And what happened was July 4th turned into an epic cheat meal at night because we had friends over. I was going to kind of loosely follow my diet, but at least stay, reasonably above where I wanted to be and definitely below maintenance. But, once we brought out the food and everybody's over and I was so close to refeeding anyway this weekend, I was like, you know what? I've been doing this like 14 weeks and I have not once taken a day where I just forgot about the numbers and just ate what I wanted and didn't track what I was eating and didn't calculate it up at night and then try and make up for it and all that other stuff. July 4th was the first day in 14 weeks where I just ate whatever I wanted and I didn't care, and I didn't even make an attempt to try and calculate what I ate. I just relaxed and I just ate what I wanted. So that was awesome. And then Friday, I went back on my diet. I stayed to my 2,000 calories. And then Saturday, since I was again so close and I still had the cravings from a couple days earlier, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to eat at maintenance. And Sunday I ate at maintenance. So bottom line, when I went to the Dexa scan place today, I did not feel lean, and nor did I look lean, because I definitely carved up, but I definitely spilled over, meaning I'm definitely holding water between my skin and my muscle. I just look soft and kind of watery. And if you asked me what my body fat percentage was, I would, if you told me 25%, I'd probably believe you. I just feel like soft and fat, Anywho, to cut to the chase, my wife thought I was going to be at 11%. I really kind of thought I'd be more around 12, but secretly hoping to be under 10, but also just definitely not feeling under 10 today based on how I look, because I just look watery and soft. Anyway, 8.2. And I'm more shocked than anyone. 8.2% body fat. No shit. So I was just like, excuse me? So I'm ecstatic. So any of the days prior to July 4th, when I was really drawn out and looking dry, definitely could have believed that I would have tested under 10, but not 8.2. Now, again, this is a test like any other. It's not written in stone. There is a margin of error that, to my knowledge, is on a Dexa scan can be off by 1 or 2 percentage points. I mean, perhaps greater, but that seems to be the recurring margin of error is 1 or 2%. So even if it's 10.2%, even if it's 11.2%, I'm pretty ecstatic. But 8.2, I was not ready to hear that. So, couple things. I have mixed feelings because if I am indeed 8.2% or close to it, in the mirror, I do not look like I would expect I would look at 8.2%, which means I have to get leaner anyway, regardless of what the test tells me. Also tells me that, like that stubborn fat / kind of loose skin from being heavier might be an aesthetic problem that I just have to live with that is not going to completely go away with more extreme dieting. So I may very well be 8.2% and still have my lower abs not come in really crisp and clear because of that little bit of loose skin. So that's annoying, but on the plus side, my scan says I'm 8.2, and it's been a kind of bucket list item for me to diet under 10% at one point in my life, and it seems that I've done that. So leading up to the competition then, I will, regardless of what any test says, I still need to get leaner. However, I've also been dieting for 14 weeks, and I'm kind of tired of dieting. And I know that if I just got back to where I was prior to July 4th and just pushed it a little bit, I think that's kind of where I need to be to get on stage. I mean, more than just a little bit, but you get my drift. So I think I could at least spare the next 4 weeks because I have 19 weeks now to the competition. I'm going to take the next 4 weeks, bring my calories all the way above maintenance, and train like a madman and try and just enjoy the training process and try and put on a little bit of muscle. So maybe try and gain a ½ pound or less per week in total. Some of that's going to be fat. Hopefully, most of it's going to be muscle, or some of it, half of it's going to be muscle. We'll see. But I'm going to take the next 4 weeks and basically take a nice diet break / bulk phase. And depending on what happens after the next 4 weeks, I may very well take another 4 weeks and do the same thing before I go back into a diet. Because at 19 weeks out, that would be 8 weeks of bulking. I would still have 11 weeks to the competition. And I do not and will not need to lose 11 pounds, which I could definitely do over an 11-week period. So I think I'll be positioned perfectly at the end of the 8 weeks to go back into a diet phase and strip off, anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds of body fat. And I think that is going to be the plan going forward. So, very ecstatic. Let me just read a couple other highlights for you here if you're interested. So my overall fat mass, my overall total mass as measured by the scanner was 202 pounds. My fat mass was 15.9 compared to my lean mass, which was 177.8, which is, combining those two, is a total of 193.7. So my fat mass is 8.2% of that 193.7. Now, what the deal is with the missing difference between 193.7 and 202, I'm not really sure how that's defined in here. I'm not entirely sure whether that has to do with fluids, or part of that might be the clothes that I was wearing while laying on it. So that goes into part of the total mass. But then that's why they measure your fat mass specifically and your lean mass specifically. So however it works out, but 8.2% body fat percentage. Which I found interesting, my visceral fat. So the fat, the unhealthy fat that is around your organs, or what can be unhealthy if it gets beyond a certain point, I believe at least men want to be below 1, which I'm pretty sure that means 1 pound, because it says fat mass in pounds. I have 0.28 pounds of visceral fat, so very, very low. You can't get lower than 0. So I have about a 1/4 pound of visceral fat. So apparently that's very good. Ecstatic about that. Bone density. I haven't really dove into this that greatly, but bone density, they do your spine, they do your hips. My bone density on both is at the very top of what is the normal range, I suppose. So, bone mineral density of the different regions of my spine, range from like 1.28 to 1.45. My hips and all that good, neck, total, well, yeah, my hips are all, 1.1 something. So bone density was great. I thought it was kind of going to be higher, off the charts higher, but not. And then from what I could tell, when it says like your percentile for your body fat, they call it centile, not percentile. So centile, instead of being like 10, in the, I guess the top 10% or top this percent or whatever, I am 0. So for men my age at 8.2% body fat, apparently, if I'm reading this correctly, I am in the absolute highest percentile, which is kind of cool. So we'll see. Again, it's just a number. It's just a test. At the end of the day, especially as it relates to a competition situation, it's how I look on stage on the day. So if I look better at a slightly higher body fat percentage, but carrying a little bit more muscle, that might make more sense for me than going there like at 4% body fat and just looking just super skinny. So we're going to see how the next month goes at least. But at least for the next month, I get to eat some delicious food every day and not feel guilty about eating bread and carbs, and it's going to be lovely. So that is the deal. Guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop a comment below. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And I will talk to you soon.